Welcome to Marvelous Disney, the podcast that discusses the most recent doings at one of the more dynamic divisions of the Walt Disney Company, which is, of course, Marvel Entertainment. This is entertainment writer Jim Hill, and my co-host, the amazing Aaron Adams, and I are recording this week's episode on Wednesday, December 7th, 2022. And I know we missed a week last week, but that was because Len and I were down in Florida doing the Gingerbread Challenge and just ran out of time. I had to jump on a plane on Thursday to be there for Friday. By the way, had a great event, and thanks to all the nice people who came out. And I'm also pleased to see that there are very few pictures of me in the pink bunny suit online. So my secret is still good for now.
And now that I know that it exists, I will have to source it for our one of our future upcoming projects that we're not allowed to talk about just yet. But boy, would it be a good little nugget to have for that.
Yeah, well,
if anybody can help me out, you can just send it to @azaprod at Twitter, and know that you'll be helping out in a good cause. Okay, moving on.
I fail to see how that would be a good cause. But moving on. Okay. Black Panther Wakanda Forever has been out in theaters for 27 days at this point. Sold just shy of 400 million worth of tickets in North America to date. At this same point in its domestic run, 27 days, the original Black Panther had sold 574 million worth of tickets in North America. So basically a third more business domestically. Now, I bring that up because did you see the Black Adam story that broke earlier this week about how that Dwayne Johnson film right now is sitting just shy of 400 million worldwide? And
ooh, that seems low.
well,
is that low? It seems low. It feels low.
It is a little low. But at the same time, we're still dealing with the after effect of what's happening to the exhibition world, again, post-pandemic. And there's a lot of folks who are suggesting we are not post-pandemic. We are still in the pandemic. But
Right.
That Warner Brothers movie was released in mid-October of this year. And it would have to make $600 million to break even. And let's be honest here, superhero movies are expensive to make. Black Adam, for example, had a production budget of, depending on who you talk to, of $195 to $200 million.
And that's just The Rock's beef budget. Hey-o!
Okay. And now, mind you, Wakanda Forever had a budget of $250 million. So by that math, this Ryan Coogler film will have to gross $750 million worldwide to turn a profit. Good news is, as of today, worldwide box office for Wakanda Forever sits at $735 million. It's been number one at the box office for 4 weekends in a row here in North America. So selling that extra $15 million worth of tickets worldwide to put this production over the top, officially pushing Wakanda Forever into profit, pretty much assured at this point. That said, though, we talked on the last show about China not allowing this Black Panther sequel to be screened in country due to some LGBTQ content. And that hurt. I mean, we talked about the $105 million that the original Black Panther made in that one country alone in 2018. But Warner Brothers actually pushed back hard against this Black Adam not turning a profit story, because it's like pointing out that, look, it's a superhero movie, and we can rely on additional revenue streams that other films can't, like action figures. And Nancy and I were in CVS just today, and they had Black Panther Wakanda Forever dolls, Shuri and Namor, and a Namor action figure with sort of the Aztec helmet that was, I came within inches of buying.
So did the Namor little plushie thing, did it have cute little stuffed little wings on his ankles?
It did.
Oh, lovely.
It did. And in fact, what was kind of interesting is that if you grab the action figure's ankles, the Aztec helmet would close around his head. I mean, that was
nice.
Kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
We'll talk more about Namor and Shuri in a moment, but speaking of the retail realm, today's episode of Marvelous Disney is brought to you by Storybook Destinations, trusted travel partner of the Jim Hill Media Podcast Network. For a worry-free travel experience every time, please book online at storybookdestinations.com. Okay, let's talk about the news we didn't get to talk about last week. Stuff bubble up. Did you see that story about the early cut of Black Panther Wakanda Forever that reportedly featured romantic scenes between Shuri and Namor?
I kind of felt like there could have been that moment in the movie, like as you're watching it, that she could have gone that extra step and maybe tried to sneak a kiss or something, a little smoochy smooch. So yeah, I don't think I'm terribly surprised to learn that it was put there and then taken out later. What did they have planned for it? Was she gonna? I guess that would make the decision a lot harder for her as the main character about, oh, I have a new beau, but now I have to go to war directly with him. And yeah, I can see that complicating things. Why'd they take it out?
I've reached out to folks at Marvel, and they pointed out, for example, the original Black Panther had a running time of 2 hours and 15 minutes, where Wakanda Forever, in its current form, is almost a half hour longer. It's 2 hours and 41 minutes.
Right, and it does, and there's like no Black Panther until the very end of the movie. So I mean, there are some people that I can see making complaints about the pacing of that. Okay,
so did this get cut due to running time considerations, or, I was asking, is there any info out there about poor reactions at test screenings? And Magic 8 Ball says, ask again later. So let's see if we can find out. Now, speaking of cutscenes from Wakanda Forever, Angela Bassett, just in the past week, revealed that she did shoot a scene for this Black Panther sequel where Queen Ramonda got to meet T'Challa and Nakia's son Toussaint, a.k.a. Young Prince T'Challa. However, Ryan Coogler opted instead to hold the reveal of that character to the very end of the film in that mid-credit scene, with the idea that would allow Wakanda Forever audiences to exit the theater on an emotional high, that they have a hopeful moment to go out on.
Absolutely, yeah.
Well, Angela Bassett said, lovely scene, but at the same time, Bassett respected Coogler's decision to hold that reveal to the very end of Wakanda Forever. But at the same time, Angela admits, boy, she was angry when she read the screenplay of this Black Panther sequel, only to see that, spoiler alert, her character dies as Namor's forces attack the capital city of Wakanda. Just sort of like, I have this wonderful character, this really strong character, and you kill it. Okay, moving on now to a future MCU film, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We got our trailer for that dropped late last week. What fascinated me is the trailer for this James Gunn movie debuted on the exact same day as the teaser trailer for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And that really seemed like a weird decision to me.
Was there an event going on, like a con somewhere where they were unveiling this in like Shanghai or something?
Oh, wait a minute. I think you may be onto something.
Was there anything in Brazil or something?
There we go. I think there was, in fact, an event in South America.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That makes better sense now. But, oh, by the way, we were pre-gaming, and you wanted to talk about a bit of technology that actually, I guess, got employed in the Dial of Destiny trailer.
There was an article just, I want to say, in the last week or so. And it was, I saw it on Gizmodo. But it was about how Disney had created an artificial intelligence tool that automatically makes actors look either younger or older, depending on which way you flip the switch, I suppose. And they did have some video of both a female and a male. I don't think they were actors or anything. I think they're just average people working behind the scenes where they're doing a test shot. But it was a rather convincing A-B comparison where, the young version is rather, silky, smoothie skin, and then the aged version has all the wrinkles in the right spots to make it look like that person is aged by about 20 or so years. So the fact that they're able to get that with AI, because you think about how in the original Ant-Man, how they de-aged Michael Douglas, and they had a Stan Lee cameo where they aged him down by a couple of decades or so, and that used to be such a big deal of, oh, did you see how they de-aged him? Didn't it look great? Sometimes it didn't look so good. Oh, that looked horrible. But right now they've got AI where they just, take a shot of an actor and go, how old do you want him to be? 57? All right, let me dial in 57. Wazam! And then there's Chris Hemsworth, 20 or so years older. And just kind of crazy technology that they've got at their disposal now in their bag of tricks.
I agree. I agree. And that was the comment coming about the Dial of Destiny trailer is like, hey, they finally figured this out. I mean, that version of Harrison Ford actually looks like the Harrison Ford we got back in '81 for the original Raiders.
Oh,
So
I haven't even seen that trailer. Did they de-age him in that trailer?
you know how the classic way an Indiana Jones film begins is you get the giant action sequence in the beginning.
Sure, yep.
And then, well, evidently this one starts off with an action sequence in 1942. So it's Indiana Jones once again fighting the Nazis. And then we jump ahead to 1968. It's been over 45 years at this point. And not to give too much away, but if you remember the history of the American space program, a lot of the German scientists who worked on the V2 program kind of transferred over to the States to then work on the space program. And so, there's...
Oh, yeah, okay. I see how they're following that there leap of action. So they didn't get Alden Ehrenreich to double for him like they did in Solo?
No, not this time.
Okay.
So to slide back up over to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So what did you think of the trailer?
I don't recall, but I know they showed Baby Groot. Or no, not Baby Groot, Baby Rocket.
Right.
And that was supposed to be the thing where everyone's like, oh, I want a stuffed plush of that come whatever season it releases. And I was just so freaking floored by the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special that it was like, I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, that looks like it's going to be another movie. And they're trying to keep the plot secret, so there's not a whole lot for me to grab onto. And I'm still kind of confused by Bodybuilder Groot. He's a little bit on the buff side, and I'm not used. My eyes have not seen that version of Groot, so when I see it, it almost looks like Man in Suit Groot. Man in Groot.
Okay, you might want to
work on the phrase.
Trademark. No. I mean, trademark that one now.
Oh, okay.
Out ahead of the May release of the.
Okay.
That's good, Man in Groot. Okay. Well, for me, I enjoyed the trailer. I thought they did a nice job, but I was especially intrigued by the teaser poster. Did you see that came out with the entire cast or the entire crew of the? All right, it's not the Milano, it's not the Benatar. Damn it!
We're on the Bowie now.
The Bowie, that's right. They're on the Bowie. The entire crew of the Bowie, the Sans Gamora, of course. But what was great about this poster, and I really recommend folks seek it out, is there on the poster in a little red box is a James Gunn film. Aaron, this is the very first time a director of an MCU film has ever gotten that sort of credit. In a box on the poster, no less. And it supposedly was Kevin Feige himself insisted that this be done with the Guardians Volume 3 poster as a tribute to his friend, who, remember, after he finishes working on this Guardian sequels, leaves for greener pastures, or should we say Green Lantern pastures.
Ooh, how long did you workshop that one, my friend?
It's not nearly as good as your Man in Groot. I'm sorry. That was genuinely funny. Mine was labored.
Okay.
But I mean, I like that Kevin wants James to go out and high. It's like, recognize this guy did good work for us, and this is a genuine film by this guy.
It's really Kevin Feige knows the old Sun Tzu rules of combat is keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. So he's like, hey, you're getting ready to go across the street. I need inside track to information. They'll swap stories over cocktails and crib a few notes here and there and go back to corporate. And what do they got going on over there?
I love that interpretation. Okay, let's see if that plays out. So again, trailer looks like a wild ride. Looking forward to Volume 3. And speaking of wild rides, during the Gingerbread Challenge, I got the opportunity to ride Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind Holiday Remix. Have you heard about this? They have a special holiday edition of this thrill ride that's now running at Epcot. It will debut on November 25th. By the way, very same day that the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special debuted on Disney+. And this will continue for the full length of this park's International Festival of Holidays, which runs through December 30th this year. I wish I could say that it was as good as the Really For Real Cosmic Rewind.
But
Well, it's like the ride takes a step down in quality. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that the actual Cosmic Rewind, it's Peter Quill. So you get to listen to real songs from the 1980s. Whereas for the holiday version of this attraction, Disney decided to create an all-new holiday song that then samples things like Run, Run, Rudolph. Right. And the problem is where the actual attraction, they do a great job of including, Gloria Estefan songs and that sort of thing. And making it so you can hear the music and you can enjoy the dialogue. And the holiday song, you really couldn't hear what the characters were saying as you traveled through the attraction. And this is the 3-minute long coaster with a lot of story elements that you're setting up. I'm assuming they'll bring this back next year. And I hope that there's an enterprising sound engineer at Disney who, it's like, all right, let's revisit this. Let's make it so people can actually hear the dialogue and the holiday song.
If you're on a coaster, you've only got so much time. So it's going to be like, Frosty, the red-nosed reindeer's coming to town. Get off the ride. Go. So come back. I'm kind of surprised they didn't use any of the music from the James Gunn Guardians Christmas special, because they had a couple of great jams about, where he doesn't know what Christmas is. Christmas is here. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's over there. I don't know, because I don't know what Christmas is.
Disneyland did a Haunted Mansion holiday. But the thing is, they hired an outside composer for the first season. Mm-hmm. And it was so popular, the very next year, Tim Burton insisted, okay, if you're going to continue on with this, you got to bring in Danny Elfman. And he then redid the music for the attraction, so it was much more in the style of the actual film. I mean, both versions of the score are a lot of fun, but Danny Elfman's take on the very version of the show, is a lot more fun. So in a weird sort of way, given that supposedly, did Kevin Bacon actually write the holiday song that he performs during the show?
No, he said that he had gotten the script like years ago because COVID delayed everything. So he was on board like forever ago and had read the script forever ago. And he said that James had said, hey, you're playing with my band. Was it the 86s?
There we go. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, yeah, okay. And obviously, Kevin Bacon has his own band that
he does.
That he travels around with. So he was just like, yeah, great. I can play with anybody because, that's what you do as a musician. So he was ready to just jump in. And I believe that James already had all of the music selected and or written by that time, because Kevin Bacon then said that he went and just pulled all the songs and listened to them in order of the script so he could kind of get that vibe in his head and try and get a feel for what James Gunn was going to be putting together. And then it took years to get back to it because of COVID. And so, yeah, it's that was the story.
I think you've hit upon an excellent idea. I think here's hoping that for year 2 of Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind Holiday Remix, that some enterprising soul at Disney takes a close look at the holiday special and pulls, samples some of the songs for that. Because by then, I mean, you got to assume that,
it'll be a classic.
There we go.
It's this generation's Frosty the Snowman.
Okay.
Harvey wants to be a dentist? What the hell?
Boy, you just set up a beautiful transition here. Because speaking of snowman, this year's International Festival holiday, friend of the show, Josh Gad, will be serving as the celebrity narrator for this theme park's candlelight procession this coming weekend, Aaron. He's going to be there in the American Gardens Theater on Saturday, December 10th. Also there on Sunday, and finishing up his stint as the narrator of this year's candlelight processional on Monday, December 12th. And I honestly, I'm sorry I'm missing Josh's performance. And how does one wish a performer luck when they're appearing in a holiday-themed production? I mean, Aaron, I don't need to tell you this. There's the traditional break a leg.
Right.
But shouldn't there be something more specific for the holiday season? Like, I hope you sprained your nutcracker, which...
No, that's a pulled groin muscle, and you've done the ballet wrong. You didn't stretch before you done your kicks, and now you're on a stretcher going to the hospital.
Okay, Josh, please take that into consideration and stretch before you serve as narrator for this year's
And plie.
Okay, and to finish out this half of today's show, I was this year's old today. Somebody just pointed this out online over social media that if you look at Ant-Man Quantum Mania, you can actually spell Ant-Man with letters you pull out of Quantum Mania. So Ant-Man is in the title twice.
Oh, it's subliminal. Well, not subliminal. But yeah, I see it. I see what you're talking about.
Of course, Ant-Man Quantumania kicks off Phase 5 of the MCU. And when Aaron and I get back, we're going to take a close look at Phase 4.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Business. We could all use more time. Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions, so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. I can see why they call it smart. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
The family that vacations together stays together. At least, that was the plan. Except now, the dastardly desk clerk is saying he can't confirm your connecting rooms.
Wait, what?
That's right, ma'am. You have rooms 201 and 709.
No, we cannot be 5 floors away from our kids.
The doors have double locks. They'll be fine.
When you want connecting rooms confirmed before you arrive, it matters where you stay.
Welcome to Hilton. I see your connecting rooms are already confirmed.
Hilton, for this day.
Wish you could become a morning person? You know the type, up before the sun, early morning runs, first one to the office with donuts and a smile. How do they do it? Easy. With the new Galaxy Watch 8, sleep tracking and personalized insights from Samsung Health help you improve so you can wake up to a whole new you. One who, dare I say it, skips the snooze? It's possible. Train your sleep with Galaxy Watch 8. Learn more at Samsung.com. Requires compatible Samsung Galaxy phone, Samsung Health app, and Samsung account.
It's December 7th. We are, 2 weeks and change out from Christmas. And you were commenting on a piece of Marvel-related that maybe people don't necessarily want to get for the Marvel fans and their family this holiday season.
Yeah, maybe want to skip on it. So it was a couple of years ago that we were just talking about some general tech advancements that were really neat, and what it was is basically if you could put a propeller, like a fan blade, on the palm of your hand and make it spin. I know it sounds dangerous as all heck, but that's essentially what it was. And it had LED lights on it, and when it spins really fast, you can make a picture with the flashy LEDs, right? So the effect was Doctor Strange's mandalas, the little shields that he makes, those, they're orange and circles and whatnot that he makes with his fists, and they were able to kind of create that effect. And so you just strap it to your hand, turn it on, blade spins, and scene happens. Disney now, many years later, I think this was like 2018-ish or earlier that this tech was out. So now today, if you were to go, I think it's at shopdisney.com, but if you were to go there and look it up, they've got these Doctor Strange shield makers. But the thing is, obviously, Disney Legal took one look at the video and went, oh, hell no. And then they end up putting it on. It's like if you took a Solo drink cup and flipped it upside down and taped it to your hand and then put the blade on it. So you had like a good 6 inches of separation between your fingers and the spinning blade. And so then, I think they just kind of painted it a bronze color and made it apparently from a really cheap plastic, because some people were complaining that it broke relatively quick. Like they gave it to their kids played with it 2 or 3 times, and then it went snap, and like the blade kind of popped off safely in a safe manner. It wasn't like a ninja star shooting through the living room or anything.
Oh dear.
It's
okay.
the little thing that it's attached to snapped off, and so it just came off of the little cup thing that was attached to their hand. So, yeah, and I think they're selling it for like, $40, which is really cheap for that kind of technology to begin with. So, yeah, chances are it's made of cheap material, and it will break relatively quickly. So, maybe not get that for Christmas and look at something else.
And speaking of looking at something else, there's a couple of great books coming out, or supposed to be coming out this holiday season. I mean, for example, there have been so many of us waiting on the art of book for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, Aaron, that movie came out in September of 2001. And up until just a week or so ago, this was supposed to finally hit store shelves on December 27th. I mean, so you couldn't have it for the holiday, but you could, you could set it up to have it delivered, to...
By the time you get home, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I just checked at Amazon, and once again, this thing has been pushed back. Now it's supposed to arrive, hit store shelves on February 21st of next year. And not to be that guy, but this is 18 months after the release of the film. And I get the pandemic happened, and that screwed up publishing because so many of these art books are done overseas and literally have to take the slow boat from China to get to the States.
Okay, now take that, and that's the first part of your equation. Now multiply that by secrecy from Marvel.
There we go.
So you can't let that material out before the movie is released, because otherwise it could get leaked and secrets could get out. So that means they couldn't even start the darn book till way, way, way later in the process than almost everything else.
For example, we have the Black Panther War of Wakanda expansion, The Art of the Hidden Kingdom. Now, this is for a game that came out in August of 2021. Now, this is finally becoming available for purchase on December 20th of this year. So again, you're looking for somebody to get your Marvel fan in the family. But that, again, 19 months after a game, not a movie. Likewise, on that very same day, December 20th, we have Marvel's Loki, the official collector's special book. That becomes available for purchase. That limited series debuted on Disney Plus in June of 2021. We are 18 months past. What secrets are we holding?
I'll tell you what's happening right now. I'll bet you just about anything, Jim. Is was it Bob Iger's back in town, right? So he's back in the big chair. He's got to fill all the debts in the world from the Fox acquisition, from all the content they're making with Disney Plus, et cetera, et cetera. And I will bet you just about anything. He's got a bean counter locked in a dungeon right now who's doing hardcore math aerobics around the problem of, if Feige weren't so darn secretive, and rightfully so, like we understand, we get it, it's business, but if I could have my book for Shang-Chi released the day the movie for Shang-Chi comes out, it will sell 100 times more copies than if it comes out 2 years after the fact. That just makes plain old sense. Strike while the iron is hot. That's going to be the words out of someone's mouth named Bob Iger. And they're going to have to figure out, is it worth keeping the secret? What is the price tag for keeping this secret? And he's going to go back to Kevin Feige and he's go, I had my bean counter in the dungeon, figure it out. And the number is $752 million per year is what your secrets cost me. Shit's got to change, bro. I mean, they got to look at everything they're doing in the business, because you can only do so much. It's not like they can build new rides, because they don't have the money. You can't reinvest the money that you don't have at the moment, right? So that means you got to make your money elsewhere. If you're going to make the book, but you're waiting 2 years to release it, that is a huge problem for your timing and your synergy and all that corporate mumbo jumbo that they like, right? Absolutely. So that they got to be looking at that as we could make a boatload more money if we just had timing involved in this equation.
That's a lovely transition to our next story, which talks about the trades. We're talking about an executive retreat that Marvel Studios had over the past month. And this was supposedly because now that Phase 4 of the MCU has officially been put to bed with the theatrical release of Black Panther Wakanda Forever, it was a moment of reflection, look back at what they've done with Phase 4, comparing it to the earlier, Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3 of the MCU. The belief was that we just didn't generate the heat and excitement that we did with the earlier three This was understanding that, if we look ahead to Phase 5 and Phase 6, which, of course, Phase 6 ends with Secret Wars and, the Kang Dynasty. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to set up. And, in fact, in their defense, if you think about it, so much of what Phase 4 was getting ready to tell those stories, bringing, characters on the canvas, introducing ideas.
It's kind of like resetting the bar, like if you were doing a high jump competition and someone jumped so high that they actually hit the ceiling of the gymnasium to get over the bar, and they're like, well, we can't raise the bar any higher. We need to reset. We need to go back down and kind of simplify and introduce new characters and have a palate cleanser, refresh. And let that bar kind of go back down so you can ratchet it back up over the next couple of phases. And I firmly believe, all the people that are griping about it's not as big and actiony and spectacly and wonderful as, the last phase. And it's like, yeah, it really can't be. There's no way that you can build for almost a decade to that conclusion and then go the year after that and go, okay, be better than that. Because it's like that concluded. You have to start fresh.
I would also argue Phase 4 was the first where we really got the limited series. And the limited series were 9 episodes, 6 episodes, and we had more slow burn stories. Because, again, that's how television works. You breadcrumb somebody. And I would argue it's the limited series that carried a lot of the water for Phase 5 and Phase 6. I mean, for example, think about it. It was in Loki where He Who Remains basically teed up Kang.
Right.
Likewise, if we look at Ms. Marvel, I mean, that was the one that officially brought mutants into the MCU fold with the little scene at the end there. Likewise, this is where supposedly we got introduced to the idea of incursions.
I do want to just also point out that because we really haven't touched on it very hard, that the fact that our newest bad guy Namor did say flat out that he was a mutant. I mean, he used the word. And
excellent point.
So, Feige has actually said, let there be mutants.
Okay.
And they're being trickled in one by one, which now ends up thinking, if you think about just these couple of factors, because the first one we had was with Miss Marvel, where they utter the M word and we all kind of gasp, oh, mutant. And then we get to Namor where he just says, yeah, I was a mutant. And now it's like very, plain as day. And are we going to start getting like in the next series? And it could be like a She-Hulk thing. It could be, Squirrel Girl. It doesn't matter. Like if they bring in one mutant and introduce him in that series or one movie, bring in a mutant. And then bring in a mutant, and then bring in a mutant. All of a sudden, now that you've been introduced to, oh my goodness, look at this. It's the X-Men.
Again, an excellent point. If we shift now to theatrical, what I think is fascinating, for example, when you look at Spider-Man No Way Home, in a lot of ways, you sort of plow the road for the big, I mean, face it, this is Portals 2.0. That is what Feige's trying to set up in Secret War, bringing in every character from every Marvel film franchise. And Spider-Man No Way Home kind of gave us a taste of that between the bringing back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield to work side by side with Tom Holland. But with all of the villains from various versions of the Spider-Man franchise coming back and throwing Doctor Strange in the mix. Or for that matter, think about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, how in our end credit scene for that, we got Clea, the Charlize Theron's character, who, just as you said, Namor said mutant, she said incursion. So that's supposedly what Kang's going to do. Kang is going to create these incursions that have to be dealt with.
There was an article, I think, about a week ago that the Spider-Man spinoff series Silk, which is a Sony thing, was going to be landing over at Amazon. And I don't know if they had a price tag for it or not, but I kind of wonder if they do their Secret Wars, right? So they bring back, say, Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider, for an example. And they pull deep and hard from all these hardcore, old school Marvel films and bring them in for a Secret Wars spectacle. Do you think one of those portals will have a little Sony logo over it where all of these spider people come out?
I think that Sony genuinely benefits from the crossover into the MCU.
Oh, sure,
It gets
yeah.
people excited about their films. So I'd be intrigued to see, well, how, especially when we finally get the Secret War and we start dealing with this Portals 2.0, everybody comes on the canvas at the same time. How does Sony get the step out from the crowd there?
But I just know that if it is a portal, every damn spider we've ever seen on a screen is going to be through that one Sony portal. I swear, like, one of them is going to be holding a PlayStation controller in their hand. The other one's going to be holding a Sony Walkman and rocking out. That'll be the punk rocker with the spiky hair. Yeah.
There we go. Though, that said, think about it. We've had our storytelling done theatrically. We've had our stuff done with limited series on Disney Plus. But you predicted this months ago about how, again, the beauty of being a Disney where you have an ABC or, all of these other broadcast entities to fall back on, about what they just did to sort of up the profile of season 1 of Andor.
Yeah, so my guess was that the old model was that you would make something for your network, like an ABC or NBC, and then you would shuffle it over to your streaming service, and that would be how your content lived and died. And then all of a sudden, everyone started placing heavy bets on the streaming gig. They made all their own networks, and you get some success. Like Paramount Plus has their Star Trek that seems to be doing rather well and getting some subscribers. I have no idea what the cost to consumer ratio is if they're making their money back on it, but everyone's got to make a thing. So I figured at some point it'll be a thing where, and I was thinking specifically Star Trek because it was so tied to CBS that one day they're just going to start moving these things that were created for Paramount Plus over to CBS to get people to just start watching their terrestrial television signals again. And it was just a couple of weeks ago that Disney did that very thing in an essence where Andor was doing rather well, and they moved it over to Hulu. Only episodes 1 and 2. They moved over to Hulu, and there was another streaming service that I don't recall. And then I believe it was on ABC?
Yes, it was. It was. In fact, they ran the first 2 episodes back to back on ABC. In fact, that was Nancy's first opportunity to see these things.
Okay.
And really seemed to enjoy them. But yesterday's Wall Street Journal actually had a story where it says Disney takes on streaming puzzle. And subtitle here is Bob Iger is rightly focused on profit, but the company's marquee franchises can't be serviced cheaply. In fact, there's a line in here to the effect of Disney needs to bring a disciplined focus on value maximization.
I got another prediction for you real quick.
There we go.
They're building a Void 2 and 3 somewhere real quick. Not a Void, a Volume. I'm sorry, a Volume, which is what they were using to shoot most of Mandalorian, where they could put up the image on the screen. Instead of having a green screen, you actually had a 360 video screen that just had up your background. But if you can think about, like, in the case of Mandalorian, the asset was just a desert, right? Sand, the color tan against a blue sky, and some rocky background. So you can mock that up digitally with some assets relatively quickly, and it doesn't cost you a darn thing. Whereas, the olden days of sets, like, they shot Cleopatra almost 100 years ago with Joan Crawford, where they had to build, a statue that was, seriously 60 feet tall because the director wanted the wide shot. And so you need all the people in the world as well. So we got to hire 50,000 extras to stand there and cheer. And man, that gets so expensive so fast. But if you have something like the Volume, where you can just go, all right, what do you want to see, Bob? I'd like a forest. All right, let me hit the forest key. Boom. All right, there you go. What do you like? You like that? More birch trees. Let me hit the birch tree key real quick. Boom, birch trees. How do you like that, Bob? Oh, that's beautiful. Let's shoot. You're off and running. What did it cost you? I don't know. What's the cost to punch 2 keys? Talking about union scale? Well, it's about 30 cents.
But here's the irony. In fact, we just started this section of the show talking about Andor. Tony Gilroy made the decision with this particular show. Now, don't get me wrong. They definitely use the Volume, at certain parts of the show.
Oh, yeah, but they use sets. Yeah. And locations. Yeah, totally.
for the Battle of Ferrix. I mean, that was a really for real set, and they used that set for the full run of the show. So it wasn't a question of, okay, we're going to build this thing and only use it for one scene. I mean, we kept returning to Cassian's home planet to find out, the impact of what he'd done.
And I'm telling you right now, Iger's sitting in the hot seat right now, and he's going, show me the budget for Mandalorian in the volume, and show me the budget for Andor with actual practical stuff everywhere. I would like to compare those numbers real quick. I've got a guy in a dungeon currently cranking out some numbers on how holding a book back by 2 freaking years is costing us millions. I think I can throw this little nugget at him real quick. He'll have a number back me. Tweet sweet. Hang on, let me get him on the phone real quick. Answer is cut that shit out. Get in the volume. Everybody in the volume now.
Everybody in the volume. Okay, no, that's funny. Okay, well, let's see what happens here, folks. But Aaron, I don't think you're wrong there. I mean, when you think about how amazing, especially some of the stuff that they did for the Mandalorian, the places they went, and all again staged inside of that amazing piece of tech.
I mean, I never could have guessed such a thing until they actually showed me how the technology worked in their behind the scenes special, and then you're like, oh, they changed the whole game. Like, things are just different now. And I mean, when you're looking at the fact that you have to create content regularly, otherwise Disney Plus, there's no reason to be a subscriber anymore if you quit making content, like fresh new stuff, right? So if they quit making stuff, we go away. If they cheapen out and make really crappy stuff, we go away. So they got to make it look good, but decrease the budget. So how do you do that? You get rid of all the practical stuff, you go with the digital stuff that's quick, cheap, and easy, and you make it look as good as you can with the tightest, strictest budget known to humans, and that I think that's going to be their workshop for a long time.
Okay, let me just throw out 2 quick stories here and get your take on this, because every so often the original Toy Story will show up on television, and it's still great story, amazing voice performances. But again, it was produced in 1995, and every so often a human character will come on camera, and you're like, ah! Right. Just because. But that was what they could do in 1995. Now, you were just talking about Paramount and Star Trek, and I want to say within the past 10 years, the folks at Paramount were taking a hard look at the original 65 episodes of the first series produced in the 60s. And the thing was that, again, writing still holds up, acting still holds up, but every so often they cut to a shot of the ship outside, and it again, it's 1960s visual effects, and it looked kind of crappy. And Paramount made the interesting choice to hire contemporary visual effects houses to go in and create new visual effects of, the same shots, the very same, the Doomsday Machine and space stations and the actual Enterprise and that sort of thing, but to make them palatable for today's audience, the kids who were sitting down today who don't know Star Trek from the 60s and wanted to see it. But they also, in that same window of time, they went through and digitally cleaned up each of the individual episodes. In fact, I remember there was a story once where the team that was working on it reached out to Leonard Nimoy. They were, I guess, cleaning up the Troubles with Tribbles episode, and they were like, did you spill coffee on yourself? And because again, they had cleaned the shot up, and it's like they could literally see this splotch on the front of Nimoy, and he was like, 40 years later, oh my God, yeah, I did. Wow, you guys can see that? It's like, yeah, and we're cleaning it up right now.
Yeah,
I have to wonder the very thing you were just talking about, if in order to keep these things viable, and again, Mandalorian looks lovely to us today. But if we jump ahead...
Or are they going to go back and clean up their classics? Well, we've already seen them do it, because, they've had little digital errors, or not digital errors, but, well, actually they did. In the end of WandaVision, there was a reflection in the glass of the door, and they said, we don't like that, so they wanted to Photoshop it out, and when they did it, they re-uploaded the file in it, and they left the mat over the mountain in the zoom, so it created this little specter of an image floating down the mountain, and nobody could figure out why or what that was or what it meant. And then a day or two later, they realized they did that, and they fixed it again and got rid of that. So, yeah, they're doing it.
Okay, excellent point. All right, so well, it's happening in real time, folks. And speaking of time, it is time to shut down this week's show, folks. So, Aaron, talk to me. Where can the nice folks listening to this podcast find you on social media?
You can go over to Twitter. I think is the only place I'm at right now worth mentioning. You can type in @azaprod, and don't do it right now. Don't do it right now. I'm doing a surprise. I got a friend. I got him tickets to go see the Blue Man Group. And okay, well, first I got to explain a little bit. He's colorblind, and I'm telling him it's the Blue Man Group, but it's on Twitter, and I just don't want the word to get out just yet. So just wait a couple of days until after his birthday. And me and Ted washed the paint off because we got a couple of trash can lids and some broom handles we're gonna bang on.
Sadly, I've been to enough Blue Man Group shows that you're not wrong. That's pretty much it.
It's an expensive ticket. I couldn't afford it. We were in a pinch. We promised that we were going to do something special. It's like, well, he's colorblind. Maybe we can get away with this in a pinch. So I got a couple of bald caps. We'll see what happens.
Let me know. Okay. And speaking of social media, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Jim Hill Media, and over on Facebook as Jim Hill Media News. Beyond that, also want to mention that we have a bunch of other podcasts we do here at Jim Hill Media Podcast Network. The Disney Dish with Len Testo. We've got Fine Tuning with Drew Taylor. Genuinely looking forward to hear what Mr. Taylor has to say. He's been over in London attending, Avatar: The Way of Water. Already seen the film twice and can't say enough nice things about it. So interesting to hear what he has to say. And just later tonight, and in fact, I'll be recording a brand new Looking at Lucasfilm with Brian Guyon. So if you could do Aaron and I a favor, if you could head over to Apple Podcasts and rate and recommend the podcast you're listening to right now, Marvelous Disney, that would be helpful. That's going to do it for this week's show. Thank you so much for listening, and Aaron and I will be back next week.